What is up, guys? We are live with, surprise, surprise, Super Saiyan 3 Heightened Evolution Son Goku. This is the most talked about leader, of course. One of the most powerful leaders because it is in the best position now, being a blue leader. So flute decks, very, very powerful, and it has the ability, just inherent ability of just starting you much farther ahead than your opponent. I mean, we saw how powerful this was even before Colossal Warfare when Danny Hype won the regional in Origins, beating one of our own PBG's Justin Rios. And the ability of this deck just to, one, get closer to self-awakening, and two, just being able to get farther ahead than your opponent on a very valuable resource and energy, just makes it for one of the best leaders that we have access to. Nothing oppressive that, I don't know if people make the comparison sometimes to Mecha Frieza. I wouldn't make that comparison, but this leader's very solid. It is beatable, but it's just almost clearly the better edge in the field. But now with other decks like Hirudegan and things popping up in the meta, this is not the only thing that you can go for, that you need to go for to be competitive nowadays. But it is very, very powerful. Of course, on the front side has the ability of discarding a card, skipping your charge phase, discarding a card, then adding 2 random cards from your energy from your life into your energy. So you start at 6 energy effectively, 6 life effectively, 2 energy, and then of course has the, if you're at 4 or less, this is the only drawback, if you even want to call it a drawback. I don't consider this a drawback, but not as good as the other leaders being able to untap energy. This actually draws you 2 cards when you awaken, instead of you see with all the new leaders being able to untap 2 energy. But on this side, he untaps 3 energy during each end step. So very powerful. It makes for a good defensive leader, which you saw from Jonathan later on earlier on the channel. He was able to take down our super release with the defensive capabilities of this leader, but a lot of people just use him for the aggressive ability of being able to start at a 6 and starting you out with additional energy to put you ahead of much fairer decks in the format. So that's our leader for today's deck profile. This is going to be one of the most talked about and requested decks on the channel. We're going to go with the GT version, GT Super Saiyan 3, or Super Saiyan 4, if you may call it. We're going to start off with 4 of one of the most powerful combo pieces in the whole deck. This is a pretty combo-oriented deck, and it's very powerful when it really goes off. Combination attack pan. It is a dash pack promo from Colossal Warfare, so not Colossal Warfare, sorry, Crossworlds. So this is pretty powerful because it does allow you to boost up your Super Saiyan 4 triple flash, which you'll find later in the deck profile. That's how you get it to that overwhelming 40k attack power in order for its attack to not be negated whatsoever. But very good because this does cost 0 energy, so we got it at the 0 energy battle card slot right here at the first card of the deck. You can play it for free if you have a Son Goku GT or a Trunks GT with 25k or more power in play in your battle area. So being able to play cards for free, whether it be blockers or cards like this, very, very powerful. This also has the ability of giving a Son Goku or Trunks GT in your battle area plus 5k for the duration of the turn. So pretty cool because we do play some Trunks GT in this deck. So if that line of play does pop up, you can actually utilize it and give other cards other than your Super Saiyan 4 plus power. Next card we're going to play is the Intensifying Power Trunks. Now this is a GT Trunks, so it's a target for a few different things. Not only the combination attack Trunks, combination attack pan, but it's also a target for the spaceship that we do play. So you're gonna see the Grand Tour spaceship later. This is a good target for it, but this is a Trunks GT, so it's a good name. It's a red card, of course, and it's one of the key pieces in getting you awakened. Super Saiyan 3 does start you at 6 energy, 6 life. I gotta stop saying that. It starts you at 6 life, so all it takes is 2 of these guys to really awaken you and get to that 4 life that you really want to get to. That way you can draw your 2 cards, you can start untapping 3 energy, and you can be really reckless with your energy, because then at that point you don't care about tapping out, because Super Saiyan 3 never taps out once awakened. So Intensifying Power Trunks, huge piece to the deck. Another huge piece to the deck, which is pretty much complementary to the Intensifying Power Trunks, is this bad boy right here, Saiyan Kaba, the original intensifying power trunks. This is one of the few cards that we had access to when the game first started, in the first 3 sets before the 4th set came out, that actually has the ability of choosing a card in your life and adding it to your hand and then giving you some type of additional ability. In Kaba's sense, it gives this creature double strike and plus 10k. In Trunks' case, it gives it plus 10k and critical. So effectively, the Trunks is better because critical, but Kaba can be very critical in this deck too, because you normally want to get your opponent from 5 to 3 in order to finish them off with the triple flash Super Saiyan 4 Goku, which we're going to see later, and that is your main win con. So Saiyan Kaba very good, because if you have a Saiyan Kaba and an intensifying power Trunks, turn 1, if you hit 2 red energy, you can awaken turn 1, which is very, very reminiscent of Mecha Frieza, but not as powerful as, or oppressive as Mecha Frieza, because they do not have Cold Bloodlust and things of the like. Next up on the 1-drops is a very good key piece to the deck, because it does allow you to filter through some cards. A lot of decks don't have access to something like this, but well, in the meta right now, but almost every themed deck has one of these. A Pint-Sized Warrior Son Goku, as we can see here. Just 1 energy of 5k, of course. When you play this card, look at the top 7. Choose a red Son Goku GT among them and add it to your hand. Very, very simple card. It's just something that lets you search for your win con, search for one of the in-between pieces to really get your deck going. Next thing that we decided to play was actually a Son Goku. This is another 1 energy card. Of course, you're never playing this card for 4. Of course, it's a 4 energy card, but you're using it as a 1 energy combo piece. Because of Super Saiyan 3 Goku being able to untap 3 energy, what do you do with those 3 energy on your opponent's turn? Unbreakable Super Saiyan Son Goku. Very good defense. It also filters through cards. Not only does it replace itself, produces a heck of a defense on 10k, and it is a GT combo piece for the Pint-Sized Warrior Son Goku, so you can actually get it with that, which is just another upside to playing the card for sure. Now we're moving on to the 2 energy cards. Of course, this is another card that's not really 2 energy, but the ability actually lets you make it 2 energy. So we got Pride and Justice Topo. He is a counterattack, so that's one of the few things that you can do with that untapped 3 energy. You can keep up a 10k combo in Unbreakable Super Saiyan Son Goku, and then another 2 with the Pride and Justice Topo here, only costing 2 energy. Why, you say? Because it's permanent ability. If you or your opponent's leader has 15k or more power, reduce the energy cost of this card in your hand by 2. So very, very powerful card, something that can definitely surprise your opponent, especially if they start going all in with their battle cards, or they don't have a flute to grab back one of their like 1-drops. Topo can be something that can take down multiple threats in 1 turn and get multiple attacks in there to put pressure on your opponent. When this card KOs your opponent's battle card, switch to active mode. So that's the auto ability that we're talking about, getting multiple attacks in. So Topo, very, very powerful card, very good card, because you are a mono red deck, so you're always going to have double red, and Super Saiyan 3 of course untaps 3 energy. So that's definitely something that is pretty huge, especially in this deck that's mono red. Next thing we play is one of the most important key pieces to the deck. Now this is something every GT deck should be playing. Determined Super Saiyan Son Goku. Now this is what they played in the original GT version when Mecha Frieza was out, and you were able to like really turbo yourself down to 4. Now we're kind of seeing that turbo down to 4 again with all these 1-drops. So when you are able to play this card, well, before it was actually like you could Grand Tour like turn 1, because all you need is 1 energy to pin yourself with Mecha Frieza. Now it's a little bit later, but it's still something that you're still playing, because not only does this card have critical, but the main ability is that if you're at 4 or less life, which in this build obviously very, very easy to obtain, the energy cost of this card is increased by 2. So not only is it a 3-drop now, it's a 5-drop now. And that's very relevant because your opponent cannot flute back your Determined Super Saiyan Son Goku, which is very huge actually. A lot of people may not know that. You can flute back your opponent's cards, not just your own. So it's pretty good against decks that try to slam this before they're at 5. But most people just slap this down when they're at 4 or below. So it's usually going to be a 5, and you're not going to be able to flute it. So very powerful card, because you do need to evolve over a 5 or more GT Son Goku in order to get to your main win con, which will be we'll get to in a moment. But before that, we are playing another Pride Trooper in this deck in the form of Jiren. Now, Jiren is kind of like a tech choice in this deck. We saw Justin Rios and I were playtesting the deck. We were like theory crafting. We were playtesting against different decks. We saw what was being played in the top meta decks, and we came to the conclusion that there's not much removal in this format. So we wanted to have access to a pretty solid removal card that still stayed on color, obviously mono red, and something that we can play and actually threaten our opponent. And if it came down to it, it would be able to take down, something that was, they were like sitting on like an untapped Victorious Fist or Triple Flash or anything like that. And Jiren was something that was able to kind of just fit the role there. And it was something that we were testing, and it was pretty good. So we went with 3 Jirens. This could be swapped out depending on like what your meta is looking like, but Jiren's just pretty good against certain decks that you really need to get rid of something. And because no decks really right now, with the exception of like the heavy control mono blue SS3 deck, that deck plays a lot of removal. But the reason why that deck did so well is because they had so much removal. It had access to things to answer your opponent's cards. So that's what we didn't feel too comfortable with, playing a GT deck where it was just like, you have no answers to what your opponent's doing, no interaction, and that's why we kind of like added in Jiren. It's been good so far. On to the next one. This is a 6 energy card, but normally obviously does not cost 6 energy. It's something that's really good and can come down for really cheap. This is the Victorious Fist Super Saiyan 3 Son Goku. Now, not only is this a Son Goku GT, but it has EX Evolve for 1 energy. Place 1 card from your hand into the drop area, and it goes over a red Son Goku GT with a energy cost of 5 or more. So easily goes over the determined Super Saiyan Son Goku. Also has double strike, and once per turn when this card attacks, switch this card to active mode, and it gains plus 5k power for the duration of the turn. So very powerful win condition. This guy can by himself just inflict 4 damage to your opponent. It's very good with the combination attack pan. Also, you normally want to save the combination attack pan for the triple flash, which we're going to show right now, but you can also use it in combination to this. This is also another big hitter that can put a lot of pressure to your opponent, and it's something that you can attack with and keep it stood up, and then next turn just apply more pressure by going into the triple flash and having this breathing down their throat. So this is very powerful. Another way that this deck gets some reach as far as like a boss monster. Very good card. And Victorious Fist there, and we're playing 4 copies of that. And then the main win condition to the deck, or one of the most powerful cards in the deck. So you have a lot of double strikers in this deck. Now you have a triple striker. This one's very powerful from Colossal Warfare. This is actually the SPR version, but it does come super rare. We just had to play the SPR because it looks so darn beautiful. Look at that. Just take a moment to appreciate that for a second. Really beautiful card. Triple Flash Super Saiyan 4 Son Goku. Now this card has EX Evolve for 1 red energy, and there's no additional cost. Yeah, that Victorious Fist costs 1 card from your hand. This one, 0 cards. Not only does it not cost any cards from your hand, but this card actually draws you 2 cards on the auto when you play this card. So ridiculous. No, you cannot play EX Evolve abilities for the duration of the turn, but who cares? This card is insane. This card's really good. It has deflect, so I don't think it even needed deflect. It just has deflect. Who created this card? I don't know. But so your opponent can't crush a ball, your opponent can't cold bloodlust. This guy is going through no matter what on the summon. No counterplays. Triple strike, of course, draws the 2 cards. Permanent. If this card's power is 40k or more, your opponent may not activate counter during battles where this card is attacking. So, in other words, this is going through no matter what. I don't care what kind of counters you have. Thing to note, the Victory Strike Goku can still be Mafubed. This guy cannot be Mafubed because this guy says counter. The Victory Strike just says cannot be negated. This one can't be countered, so no counterplays whatsoever. There's very few ways to stop this guy, of course, blocker being one of them. You need to have a blocker to stop this guy or he's coming in, and that's why you see a lot of blockers now very prevalent in the meta, because you need to have a way to stop cards like this. And if you don't have ways to stop cards like this, they can take you from 3 to 0 real fast. So very, very powerful card. In triple strike, triple flash, if you were able to evolve over him again, things would have been very, very devastating. Now, that's it for the battle cards. We're going to go into the extra cards and the cards that are utility, that make the deck so much better than what it is in just battle cards. You got 3 of the legendary flute. Now, many decks play 4. Justin this was his call on it, honestly. He was playtesting it a lot. He didn't think the ratio for 4 was very needed. It's not like one of these Hirudegan decks that you really need to keep bouncing back and buying back your spells. So 3 seemed really good. Also, a huge determining factor in his decision is because of this guy right here. Super Saiyan 3 Son Goku. That leader does take 2 random cards from your life and puts them into your energy. Hitting legendary flute or hitting any like black overwhelm card or anything like that really can set you back, especially because you are already bound and committed to playing a blue leader. So that means you have to play Boost Attack Piccolo, and Boost Attack Piccolo is also a blue card. So by playing too many blue cards in your deck, the consistency of this deck clearly diminishes, and that's why we play 0 black cards in this deck and we only play 7 blue cards. And it's the 7 blue cards that I think you have to play, whether it be 7 or whether it be 8. The numbers can be very, very they can really tell exactly whether you can like hit a blue card or you don't hit a blue card, especially in a large sample size. If you hit it, then you're gonna feel like the worst, because there's nothing in your deck that can really, even Topo's double red, you know, like the only thing that you're gonna be using that blue energy for is for things that are colorless, like Unbreakable Super Saiyan Son Goku. Even the triple flash EX evolve is red. The Victorious Fist is red to also to EX evolve. The Trunks and the Kaba, being able to play both of them turn 1, very, very crucial. So we're only playing 3 flute. Now, flute has a few different applications in this deck, and they're really interesting. One of the most popular applications for legendary flute in this deck is by buying back your combination attack pan after you already have a Victorious Fist or a triple flash. Notably the triple flash. Once you have the triple flash out, you can play a combination attack pan for free, give it that plus 5k boost, play legendary flute, get back the combination attack pan, play the combination attack pan again, give triple flash another 5k, and guess what? That's 40k now. So with that 40k, you'll be able to attack without any worries whatsoever, except for blockers, but you'll be able to know that your attack will not be negated whatsoever once that triple flash gets in there. So on top of that, that flute does draw you a card. So very good iteration. That's one of the main combo pieces, and that's one of the main times that you just want to hold the flute for that play specifically. But let it be noted, you can still flute back things like Kaba and Trunks during the first few turns in order to get that turn 2, even turn 1 awaken if you really want to. I mean, like opening up any of these 1-drops and opening up with 2 red energy, you see why, 2 red energy is a huge part in a lot of things in this deck. That's why you want to cut down on those blue cards. But for example, you can start off Kaba, you can attack, you can take take a life, go down to 5, flute back to Kaba, play the Kaba again with your last red energy, and then attack with the Kaba, take another life, go down to 4, end step, untap 3. So pretty cool iteration in the legendary flute. Of course, it's a powerful card, everybody knows this, but the things that people don't really consider is how it's going to affect the consistency of the deck, and that's something that Justin really took a lot of playtesting to figure out. So definitely be careful with your ratios of non-red cards. Next thing he played was 3 Vados Assistants. Yes, negates in a very predominantly combo and fast deck. You're going to see it time and time again with Hirudegan running around, with decks like this running around. You need to have some type of interaction on your opponent's turn. Also, a really cool application of Vados Assistants. If you don't want to choose to go with the line of Trunks, Flute, Trunks, or Kaba, Flute, Kaba, you can actually just open up with a Trunks or a Kaba and a Vados Assistants. Turn 2 when they go to attack, or their turn 1 when they go to attack your or their turn 2 actually, because you would have to be going second. If you go second and you go down to 5 and you have one of these guys tapped, you can actually negate their attack with the Vados Assistance and then unrest your Trunks or your Kaba so it's ready to attack next turn. So this is actually like another way, but it being red, it's another way for you to accomplish that turn 1 awaken without sacrificing the consistency of your deck and hitting Flute off the energy with Super Saiyan 3 Goku. You can then safely save your legendary Flute for your combination attack pan into triple flash Super Saiyan 3 Goku, which is what you predominantly want to do in this deck. Next thing on the events, complementary cards, it's going to be 3 Grand Tour Spaceship. Grand Tour Spaceship is very good in this deck because it hits almost any GT card, and it gets you a little bit faster started on with the chain. Now, there's another way to approach this. Instead, if you don't like the Grand Tour Spaceship, you don't like the randomness, maybe we have a lot of targets for it. But if you don't like that, then you can always have an alternative. You can play the new GT Goku from Colossal Warfare. I believe it's a rare. It evolves over the 1-drop for 4 energy, but 4 energy we felt like is a lot. Sure, it untops 10 energy when it comes into play, and it gets 5k power, but it's single striker. I believe it's like 20k or 25k, and then it becomes like either a 25k or a 30k. And then that allows you to go the triple flash over him. So essentially for 4 energy, you know, you untap one and then you can go into him immediately. But after playtesting a lot, Justin agreed that the Grand Tour Spaceship was something that he felt a little bit more comfortable going into and not really having to cut that piece into it. The deck was already consistent as it was, so that was his final judgment on it. And then for Boost Attack Piccolos. Boost Attack Piccolo, of course, need to play. Your leader's blue, only super combo you have access to. You can play another super combo in like Supreme kind of time, I believe, but then you're gonna have to play overwhelm cards, and then it's just gonna be a mess. Like, you don't want to miss a beat with this Super Saiyan 3 deck, so he felt like taking the more consistent approach, the more reliable approach, and this is what he came up with. And this has been great so far in testing. So if any of you guys are wanting to play in, you know, any of the big upcoming events, this is definitely a solid choice to go through. This is one of the most competitive decks from one of our top players. Also, if you guys want to see more competitive decks like this, make sure you go and check out our Patreon. Our $10 plus tier is all it takes for you to start looking at some of the most popular decks built by some of our pros, along with some in-depth analysis. We're getting some articles written on there, so make sure you subscribe to one of our Patreon tiers. We even have a really valuable $40 tier with the loot box, so you can get some free Dragon Ball swag, some free PBG swag every month, included onto that. So pretty good value. Thank you guys again for for watching the deck profile. Really appreciate it. If you guys want to see something else on the channel, please make sure you leave a comment down below. Make sure you like and subscribe. Thank you guys for watching. Till next time, stay pro.